So Wall Street is panicking. They can't dump Elon Musk fast enough. That's the subject of today's video. And check out this headline. X debt shopped with $6 billion sweetener from Elon Musk's AI bet. So what's going on? What's going on is Elon Musk owes Wall Street a whole bunch of money on the Twitter deal, and they're trying to basically dump that debt onto other people. And they're trying to convince other people that Elon is good for the money. But I question that because I think Elon is way over leveraged. And this is something that both him and Donald Trump do quite a bit. They overestimate, they over sort of brag, or they overhype themselves, and they get themselves into really big holes. And the question I would pose to you is, do you think Twitter/X is growing, declining, or staying about the same? There was recently a leaked email from Elon Musk. They're saying from Elon Musk, they're barely breaking even and revenue's not that great. And this is sort of what Wall Street's trying to do now. They got this turd, basically, and they're trying to polish it up by telling everyone, guys, if you just take on Elon's, Musk's debt, he's good for the money, and he's investing in AI, which is the future, bro. Now, this is where it gets crazy because just today with the headlines, and if you've been following the headlines, I think you guys know what's going on here. China, they just released their DeepSeek, which basically ruptured all of Wall Street today because they came in cheaper, they use less power, and it's open source. This is basically destroying a lot of the investments that were going on in Wall Street and all the hype this year. And Elon Musk was also trying to ride that wave of AI hype, and this whole sort of bubble is about to pop. This is the headline also with that. It says, big tech faces heat as China's DeepSeek sows doubts on billion-dollar spending. And on top of that, remember, Elon Musk is pissing off customers all around the world with Tesla and with his whole Twitter thing. Like, for example, this is in Germany. There was these people who, I think they're called Digital Donkey or LED Donkey, something like that. And they posted a projection of Elon Musk giving the, we'll say the Heil mustache guy, you guys can see right there, on the Tesla factory. And it said Heil Tesla. On top of that, right, Elon Musk has been called out by several groups recently for speaking at the AfD, which is the far-right political group in Germany. And he's getting involved in German politics, which is nuts. He gets involved in Canada politics, UK politics, Australia politics, and of course, he bought the American presidency. So this guy's all over the map. Wall Street's trying to dump him, right? And they're trying to basically, again, polish the turd by saying, well, he's going to be like a leader in AI. But it's a massive, massive problem for Wall Street when they find out, essentially, right? We realize this is all a ruse because, as you guys know, as we just talked about with China's DeepSeek that just came out, it comes in cheaper, could use less power, and may end up being better. This is some of the headlines coming out today, and I hope these guys all make sense. Stock sell-off gets ugly as AI jitters jolt trading markets. You also got this. Bullish tech traders made record wrong way ETFs before rout. And you have this. NVIDIA ETF complex faces moment of truth as levered bets plunge. So what's going on? We've been reading this and following this the last couple of days. A lot of retail investors were jumping in basically at the top. That's the best way to put it. They're jumping in at the top. This actually was something by Yardini we talked about recently. They're one of the hedge funds that basically pointed this out, that when you see a lot of foreign retail investors come in like in mass because they're panicking their local markets and they're like, oh, I'm going to retreat to the USA market, and USA market's been going up like crazy the last couple of years, so therefore it must keep going up forever. The last time this sort of things happened was at the dot-com bubble in 2000 at the very top, and also to the great financial crisis at the very top. So this is the question that I keep posing is, are we looking at the largest crash in history? We have a combination of dot-com bubble plus great financial crisis. And that's what I think. That's just my opinion. You got the AI craze, you got the crypto craze, you have the whole Elon Musk craze, because it's a big part of it. Tesla is the most popular retail stock. And on top of that, you have to understand that Elon Musk's wealth is based on the price of the stock, which is really, really volatile. And then he borrows money, right? Lives on lines of credit to buy influence, right? So this whole thing is a house of cards. And so that's why I have to point out this sort of deal right here, right? Where Wall Street's like, hey, you got to take Elon Musk's debt. He's good for the money. He's good for the money. And this is my understanding of the $13 billion debt on Twitter. I think they have to pay like $1 billion a year in interest. And yes, you heard that correctly, $1 billion a year on interest. That's actually really, really a lot. This is actually more to talk about this stuff. It says a tech sector plunges as Wall Street's fears over stretched stock valuations intensify. Basically, everything's overvalued right now. And it all relates to AI. So when ChatGPT was launched, you guys can see the calendar/chart here. That was around January 2023. The market has been going up. We've been on this crazy frenzy, and everyone's like, bro, AI is the future. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be the best thing, the best thing since the internet. And I've questioned this thing the whole time, because I think one of the fundamental problems with AI and this whole sort of craze is that its basic premise is this thing theoretically someday will be better than humans, right? We're going to make this AGI, was that artificial general intelligence. And if you're, quote, better than humans, that means you're replacing humans. And so then I guess humans don't have a job anymore, right? Do you guys see the fundamental problem with this? And one of the other the two major issues is, one is like just regular people are like, hey, I kind of like have a job. Could you please give me a job? Stop firing me. Please pay me more, these kind of things. And like now we're spending a bunch of money to replace people. You're going to have a lot of social unrest. And also too, you have power needs. Now, the whole China DeepSeek thing really flips everything on its head, because it sort of exposes that Wall Street might have been, or you could say could have been, or definitely did, whatever you want to read it, that they definitely put billions of dollars in this thing, and maybe it's not as good as advertised. Maybe you don't need that really expensive NVIDIA chips that everyone keeps telling you need. And maybe the Americans aren't necessarily going to win this AI game. It's just thrown a lot of things into question. I want to go over a couple things also. Check this out. This is NVIDIA. And if you guys have been following this story, because I know a lot of people follow the Elon Musk and Tesla story, but may not necessarily other companies in the market. NVIDIA has been one of the darlings of the market this year. Basically, they make a bunch of chips, right? And the model has been, okay, if you want to have these AI things, and Elon Musk company would, try and invest in this kind of stuff as well, is they're all going to be in data centers, okay? And these data centers is you're going to send your data back and forth across the internet, and these chips are so fast, and the AI's, got this huge need for compute that's the only way that you can do it. And so all the companies are like, oh, well, that's the only way I can do it, and NVIDIA is the only chips in the world that I can buy that can do it, then I have to buy that one. And they kept pumping this, bubble over and over and over again. But what if it turns out like there's a different way to do it? What if you don't need ChatGPT? What if Elon Musk company X, and I guess he's calling it Grok, doesn't work that well? What if it turns out is China and DeepSeek that's actually going to take everyone else's cake and eat it, I guess you should say. This is why everything is selling off right now. It's calling into question like all of these like crazy billion-dollar investments. You get these kind of headlines. NVIDIA's $560 billion DeepSeek route is largest in market history. I'll actually show you a chart here. These are the biggest single day market cap losses. This one is massive, 560 billion. So that was just today, January 27th, 2025. The last big move in NVIDIA stock to the downside was 279 billion. That was September 3rd, 2024. This represents, that's why I showed you those earlier headlines of there's a lot of people who are leveraged into this. Basically, it means you have a lot of different ways these days, because this is sort of how it is. Everyone's making these ETFs that are like 2x, 3x leverage funds, right? You're borrowing money to buy stock that is hyped up. That's what this whole thing is. So I said it's kind of like the great financial crisis plus .com bubble put together. And then on top of that, like we're all able to do this stuff on our phones. Like it's 24/7 crazy stock trading. Now, it's not only just the NVIDIA stocks that are in question. It's not all just the tech stocks, the Magnificent Seven, you want to call it. Energy stocks have been going down as well, because remember the bet before is that we're all going to be using these data centers, or all buy NVIDIA chips, and then they're going to eat a lot of energy. But what if we don't need so much energy? What if we can just download the source code DeepSeek for free and put it on our local computer and just use our regular, hardware? It doesn't have to be NVIDIA. That changes the whole equation. Even actually, this is really interesting. Even Meta, so that's the Facebook people, right? Even Meta's chief AI. So this is, I think his name is Jan LeCun. I always get his name wrong. He had an interesting statement about this. Let me read what he had to say. He says here, it's not that China's AI is, quote, surpassing the US, but rather that, quote, open source models are surpassing proprietary ones, right? So the idea that open source, free, we can all look at the code, etc. Maybe you can't charge like crazy amounts of money for these things. It was just recently, I think OpenAI, I think the standard sort of subscription is like $20 a month. But then I think recently they announced like a more corporate one or business one, I can't remember what they call it, and it's like $200 a month, something like that. But lately also as well, these AI things have been trying to introduce more products. The latest ones were like the video editing kind of apps. And that's the question, like, are people willing to pay for said things? What if you could just get it for free? And especially in a downturn of a market, hey, I'm taking the free one. I don't know about you guys. This is actually a quote from someone in our community. This is from Bruceris. Bruceris says, containment breeds innovation. The West needs to understand the Chinese survival culture. The more you contain, the harder they will innovate. Collaboration, not confrontation, the way to go for overall benefit of humanity. And in fact, Jan would agree with that too. Jan's quote would be, they came up with new ideas. He's talking about the Chinese company. They came up with new ideas and built them on top of other people's work because their work is published in open source. Everyone can profit of it. That is the power of open resource and open source. If you guys don't know my particular story, I actually used to work in China. I used to teach at Tsinghua University, which is often called the MIT of China. It's a top school in the country. I write about this stuff in my book. You can check it out. But this is something that I've known for quite a long time, is that China is going to catch up very, very quickly. And this is a really big wake-up call for Wall Street, the techs, and frankly, your Elon Musk, because it's kind of funny because Elon Musk has been telling everyone that his Tesla company is going to grow like 50% a year forever, but just kind of ridiculous because it's a freaking car company, and there's lots of other cars out there in the world, not just Teslas. There's a lot of competition in that space, and more competition basically eats at your margins, right? It's a race to the bottom. And so then he rotated over to Twitter and chased all the advertisers away. He said, F you to advertisers, if you don't know. And this was actually a funny thing because advertisers actually then, started dropping. And then Elon Musk even sued advertisers for not advertising on his platform. And the joke we were all making is like, when's Elon Musk going to start suing all of us for not buying Teslas? Just wait, he might. This is an interesting headline where people are really, really interested in this new China DeepSeek thing. It says, traffic to China's DeepSeek surged from 300K to 6 million visits. So yes, people are going to this thing like crazy. And again, this pops the bubble that Wall Street is trying to sell you Elon Musk, that he's good for the money. And yeah, he's going to be the most innovative person in AI. You should totally buy his debt. I think this whole DeepSeek thing really, really, really puts that into question. On top of that, you're looking at a problem with earnings among the big tech companies. Because it also shows that, maybe there's other companies out there. I've talked about this several times on the channel. I'm a big fan of Lena Khan over at the FTC. Basically, she was looking into these big companies like your Microsofts or your Amazons, et cetera, saying, hey, you're doing monopoly style practices. You're pushing out, the little guy, essentially. And I'll give you an example. So for example, on my iPhone, or say if you're into Microsoft, they've already chosen like OpenAI is going to be our, AI partner, and they're going to integrate it into the product. So like you don't have a choice. It's kind of like when you, go to your phone or get a computer for the first time, and the default browser is whatever they choose, right? You actually, and you can change in a way, but just the average user is not going to do that. And is that a monopoly style practice? Now, FTC, Lena Khan would say yes. But Donald Trump, coming in, there's like, oh, we got to get rid of regulations, right? And that's the same thing that Musk wants as well. They want to get rid of any kind of regulations or any kind of oversight so that their oligarch buddies can basically have these like no bid contracts, do monopoly style practices, and push other smaller companies in other countries out. So this China DeepSeek thing is like a really big deal because, again, they're coming in cheaper. They're coming in open source, and you don't necessarily have to buy those expensive, NVIDIA chips. And whether or not the software is better or not, who knows? We're going to find out as people dig through the open source and try it for themselves. I'm showing you this chart because this shows how also the profits are, essentially cooling off for many of these tech companies, and essentially it doesn't justify the valuations, meaning that we're pricing the stocks way too high compared to how much money the companies make. I want to show you this. This is actually a really funny thing as well, where, Elon Musk exposed himself all the time, because I'm tying together with the markets. You have to understand Elon Musk is the figurehead of the markets. It's kind of like how can I say, he's like the icon of hubris, right? The icon of big tech hubris. So for example, this is Elon Musk talking about video games just 14 hours ago. He says, fatalism for the win. And I guess he's, retweeting someone else bragging that Elon Musk is really high rank in this game called Path of Exile 2. And then gamers have actually fact checked him. You can see here, readers add context, and this is the fact check. While the account has reached rank 3, this is not Elon Musk's accomplishment. He has admitted to paying somebody else to play the account for him. The account was actively playing the game while Elon was attending Trump's inauguration. Oh, I didn't know about that. Actually, so a couple of you guys mentioned that in the comments. So essentially, he's paying people to play video games for him. The other thing that's crazy about this whole thing that we're seeing with the markets is Elon Musk is buddies with David Sachs, Peter Thiel. If you don't know, they all have South African connections. So David Sachs, he was born in South Africa, so was Musk. And then Peter Thiel, although he was born in Germany, he actually spent time in South Africa as a kid. So all these people are kind of about the same age, have these connections, and they have sort of similar type of bro or broly art culture, if you want to say it that way. Now, all the tech companies are going to try to tell you everything's fine. There's nothing to worry about. You know, we're still awesome. We're still American companies. And in fact, we should dump more money to the bros. This is a quote from David Sachs. So this is actually Trump's, he calls him the crypto and AI czar. And again, this is one of Musk's buddies. David Sachs says, DeepSeek RI, so that's, or R1, that refers to the China DeepSeek thing, shows that the AI race will be very competitive and that President Trump was right to rescind the Biden EO, which hamstrung American AI companies without asking whether China would do the same. Obviously not. I'm confident in the USA, but we can't be complacent. So what they're going to do, they're basically going to keep asking for people, hey guys, we just got to give more and more tax dollars to, data centers. We got to keep buying, Elon Musk companies. They're going to save us. He's awesome, right? And this is sort of where it comes into question, right? And people in our community do see it. Paul had a really funny comment today. It says here, a case of my AI scam is bigger than yours. It's like, exactly. And I want to be perfectly frank in this thing. I don't think, in just my opinion, and you can have a different opinion in mind than if you like. I don't necessarily trust that, China's DeepSeek thing is the solution to everything. I'm just not a big fan of this AI stuff. I just see it as like just a different type of Google search. Is it going to revolutionize everything, replace everyone's jobs? I just think there's too much of a human element that if you're talking about like automating everything, what are people going to do? And I just think that's just too much social upheaval. The energy thing is an interesting one if DeepSeek can actually solve that problem of like, hey, we don't need as much energy as previously thought. But we're going to find out. I mean, that's why we're tracking this stuff together. Here's another comment from the community. People who sold Twitter won a lottery. And if you don't know, it's hard to know what the value of Twitter is because it's a private company. We don't know their books. We get rumors from stuff every now and then. And we all know that Elon Musk overpaid for a thing. What did he pay, like $55 billion or something like that? And so now that, Wall Street's trying to package all that Twitter debt and sell it to other people and say, hey, you're also buying, awesome, AI innovation. It just really says a lot about markets. Now, you're also probably wondering, okay, what else is Musk up to? How can he connect all these other things? Elon Musk is pushing this Doge stuff. If you guys don't know, that's basically cut government spending, cut regulations. So why would he want to do that? You want to do that when you want to basically make it so that, you don't have to report crash data from Tesla, or you don't have to report your financials or anything going on over at Twitter. Like, you just don't want any government oversight. You want to hide things. And lately he's been, they now have a website. It's a government website they call Department of Government Efficiency. And their slogan is, the people voted for major reform. And according to Elon Musk, he says, join the Doge service, the USDS. The Doge team is looking for world-class talent to work long hours, identifying and limiting waste, fraud, and abuse. These are full-time salary positions for software engineers, infosec engineers, and other technology professionals. But again, really what it is they want looking for ways to cut oversight and regulators so their companies can operate in secrecy. This also shows you what Elon Musk is thinking about these days. Just a few hours ago, he's tweeting about how a lot of Americans are taking antidepressants. And essentially, if you're Musk, because he takes this kind of stuff, in your mind, like this like the stuff that he thinks about daily, he sort of, how can I say, he puts it out there in public. So I'll say one thing about Musk. He's transparent in a way. I'll say in a way that he basically brain farts all day, every day. And so like, he's thinking about video games. He's worried about the media fact checking him, and he's talking about antidepressants nonstop. You can see it right there. And then when you want to get into what's going on in the economy, the housing market is pretty insane as well. It looks like the Fed is probably not going to cut rates. So that means your mortgages are still a bit high. There are new houses on the market. As this headline says, housing markets hit a key level not seen since 2009. So I guess there's a bunch of new homes out there, but they're priced too high for regular people to afford, and they can't get affordable mortgages. And so many of the housing companies, the home builders, they have to give incentives, and I think they're cutting prices by like 5% or something like that. But that may eat on their margins, and that is a theme that you're seeing throughout the markets. And on top of that, you're seeing more and more boycotts of Teslas. This was a recent one from Poland. One of the Polish ministers was like, "Yo, yeah, we can't buy Tesla. if you have any human respect, you can't buy Tesla." And this is that was from Poland, and we'll see if other countries in Europe come out as well. That's why I showed you guys the projection over in Germany. And then you got Elon Musk tweeting out and kind of bragging in a way that Donald Trump is a gangster. In my opinion, and I think it's a pretty safe opinion. Oh well, you can have a different opinion than me if you like. I don't necessarily really want the leader of the United States like as being a gangster or a casino owner. And that's essentially what I guess people are celebrating. Oh yeah, Trump owned casinos. That's awesome. I want to turn America into a casino. I want to turn your retirement, Social Security into a casino. That's exactly what I want, right? Or people are like, oh yeah, gangster. I totally trust a gangster. Yeah. and that's why we go back to, when you realize that Musk is like, behaves like a character in a video game. Yeah, it's fun and to laugh about, and it's fun in fantasy world, but in the real world, not so great. And again, this is essentially what Wall Street is trying to dump onto you is Elon Musk's debt, telling you it's good for the money, and hey, he's going to be awesome at AI. So I want to hear your thoughts about this. What do you think about China, DeepSeek? What do you think about it says about the markets? And what do you think about what's going to happen to Musk? Thank you for your time, and I'll catch you all in the next video.